among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words,
You can't land on
hold my hand. Can't what?
there's no
In other words, baby, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I'm in love with you. There you go. Pre-show.
Seriously, man, look at us. I mean, 20 years has gone by or more. And
How many years you say?
I would say 20 minimum, right?
It's more than that.
Yeah.
It's more than that because I started when I was 19, and that's when I met you at the Ridgely Theater.
You know, one of the best things for this whole experience for me is that I'm getting a chance to talk to a lot of my old friends. And I was really excited for you to come in because we do have a rich history with each other. I've been really...
Rich history.
We do. I mean, it's the truth. I mean, I remember, you know, prior to even what was the Josh Weathers Band or any of those efforts for you, when you used to come out to the Ridgely Theater and you and Katie and her mom. And it was, from day one, everybody knew that you had something really special. And it was, I can remember watching week after week you come in and sit in the back. And then I remember finally you getting up and playing. And, you know, there was just no doubt that at some point in time we were going to fast forward and we'd be sitting somewhere like this, you know. But the fact that we're at the world's largest day of, I'm even doing this, let alone being the production manager, you're headlining the stage. It's just been really fantastic journey, I think, for everyone involved. Did you ever think that it would go this direction? I mean, the country thing, the thing that, I mean, first off, let me just say this real quick for everyone. This ain't put on for you. You're a cowboy. And a lot of people may not realize, but you met your wife roping and rodeoing, and you've been doing that a large part of your life. But you transitioned out of that kind of culture and lifestyle whenever you started playing music early on, which really was kind of like funk. So, again, did you ever think you'd end up being...
I mean, this is probably the most authentic me I've ever felt. Even though like funk and soul and R&B music is like, I mean, that's some of my favorite. If I'm just going to enjoy music and listen to something, it's either going to be 80s, 90s country, or it's going to be 70s, 80s soul, R&B, and funk. It's going to be Prince, or Prince was a huge influence because I was 19 when I saw Prince, changed my life. But when I met you, was even prior to that, I was very influenced. I was in my freshman year of college, and I loved like Dave Matthews Band and
Jason Mraz.
John Mayer and Jason Mraz and all that kind of stuff. And and I'll never forget the first time I met you. I played like the 3 songs that I had written for the open mic night thing, and you and the Merchant guys were standing over, his band, the Merchants, by the way, were standing over in the wing, kind of watching me. I think Jonathan Davis was there probably.
Oh yeah.
And you know, watching me, and you pulled me aside and kind of give me like this big timer talk. You're like, "What's your deal, man? Like, we talking just like you're talking right now." Like, what's your And I don't remember what I told you. I don't remember what I said. But you were like, "Come out to my van," which is an awkward way to meet somebody. But come out to my van, and you had this super dope old Chevy like A-Team van.
That was such a cool van.
And you turned on Ben Harper, that Burn to Shine record. You're like, "You need to listen to this," and then you turned on Remy Shand, which is like a Canadian R&B guy. Yeah. And I remember those 2 things vividly. And I was like, all right. And so I dug into that music. And I don't know, man. I had a couple other people that were very influential. A friend of mine, a friend of my wife's family, guy from France who was named Jerome, who was very into like old funk, and Prince. He was a Prince fanatic, and so he kind of tuned me into like Sly and the Family Stone and Graham Central Station and Larry Graham and I mean all kinds of Betty Davis and Prince and all this really heavy, deep funk, James Brown stuff that I would have never probably come across had it not been for him. And so I loved that music because I like to dance, I like to move, and so I was really influenced by all that stuff. And so that's the stuff I wanted to play. It was the stuff that I was moved by at the time. That's what I wanted to play. And so when I started putting the band together, that was kind of what I was after. By the time I started putting the band together, I was kind of out of maybe the Dave Matthews phase. I was more moving into the funk, soul, R&B. And there were bands that would come through town that I would see at the Ridgely, like Mingo Fish Trap and people like that that I was just like blown away by.
Larry G.
Well, Larry G and I were probably about the same time. Jonathan Tyler's posters over here.
Yeah.
That's probably about the same time we were all kind of doing something similar, funk, soul,
all
rock
great in their
kind
own
of thing.
respect, for sure.
Yeah. Larry was in a band called Otis.
Otis was rad.
They
That
were
was
cool.
such a good band.
Yeah, they were great.
That was a really good band.
Yeah. And then Blaine and Paul's band, The Campaign, they were about the same time. They were doing really well, and they were like this Ben Folds kind of funky.
Let's go, guys.
I hope Tyler sees this now.
I can edit that.
Come on.
I probably won't. That was a fun band, though, And
Oh, bro,
the
they were
fact
so
that-
good. And I watched them that night. I mean, I watched them. We met in probably Denton or Fort Worth. I can't remember the first show we played together, but I saw them and I was like, these guys are sick. They were so tight, like so good.
Thinking back to those times, though,
Fort Worth was great.
It was, and I really think that it really is. That history really almost needs to be written. If you go back to, let's just say, late 90s through right up into like 2012-ish, in that area, not really into the teens much, that whole Rec Room, Aardvark, that whole The Moon, all of those clubs in Fort Worth were the Grotto. They were all such healthy places for local people to go and foster their, in some cases now, careers, but, really learn how to do what they were doing. And there was just this community sense. And a lot of musicians have come out of Fort Worth that a lot go underneath the radar, for coming from Fort Worth. Most notably, yourself or Leon Bridges.
I remember the first night I saw him.
Yeah. I remember seeing him perform on porches in Fairmount. And he didn't, he was...
He came, I'm going to tell this story.
Okay.
He came to, and he'll confirm it because I'm not lying.
Okay.
I'm not lying.
You don't lie. It's
I
okay.
don't lie. He came to the Magnolia Motor Lounge one night. I played with Sam Anderson every Tuesday at Mags, back at the old Mags. And he came in one night and, asked to play some songs on our break. And Sam had already met him, and he was like, yeah, he's cool, man. And I was like, sure, bro. And so he got up there. I don't remember if he borrowed one of our guitars or if he had his own. And he played a song. This first song he played was like about celery sticks or something. I'm not joking. It was something like a vegetable tray. It was like this. It was a song about that. He was like, celery sticks, all kinds of celery sticks. Like something like that. It was really odd. And I thought, what am I looking at right now? And I'm looking at Sam. I'm like, and he was like, I don't remember the whole exchange, but the second song he played, he goes, I'm gonna play this song about my mom. My mom's from New Orleans, and this song I wrote about my mom. And he went, she was born in New Orleans, New Orleans. And I was like, this is unbelievable.
Right.
And it sounded like a Sam Cooke song. And it's a song Lisa Sawyer that he wrote about his mom. That was on his first record. And I went to Leon and I was like, hey, bro, let me finish this set. Do not leave. Okay? Don't leave. Okay. So he didn't leave. He stuck around. And I said, hey, can you come across the street with me? And because Nick Choate was mixing Big Mike's Box of Rock at Lola's across the street on Tuesdays. Yeah. So we went over to Lola's. Leon got in the van with me. We went over to Lola's. Nick's inside mixing. And I go, hey, come outside real quick. bro, I'm like, you do they're the same band every week. Just come outside. He comes outside, and I go, this is Leon. And I was like, Leon, play Nick that song you played about your mom. And he just sat there on the curb outside of Lola's. He played Lisa Sawyer, and I go, I gave Nick, Nick will test this. I had $200 that I got paid that night. I gave it to Nick, and I said, Nick, go record this song for him, like tomorrow. Just record that right there. And through whatever means, like it just never happened. They kept missing each other. Something happened, and it didn't happen. But in that time, Leon got connected with the guys that were working the Nile City thing and White Denim guys, and they made that first record, which obviously exploded. And but I mean, I hate to say I saw it. I saw that mess. I saw that coming because that song alone was the thing. I was like, if he can write more songs just like that, this dude's
he's killing it.
Killing it. And this song, the river, I mean, just amazing stuff. And you'd see him around town every once in a while. I don't see him as much anymore. Last time I ran into Leon, I was picking my kids up. They were going to school over here in the Fairmount area. And I was picking my kids up. And I'm driving down Main Street, and there's like a Airstream trailer with like a store in it on Main Street. There, just on the south side. And I see this guy out there in like a wife beater T-shirt and green bell-bottom pants in the parking lot, just like doing the robot. And I'm like Leon? And I pull over, and he was like, I was like, what's up, dude? He was like, say, man. He was like, it was cool. And we talked for a minute. I said, hey, I'm about to go pick up my son. He would love to meet you. And he was like, sure, man. And so I went and picked up Justice and brought him over, and he met Justice, and they had a little dance-off out in the parking lot.
That's great.
Yeah, Leon was great, man. He's a sweet guy.
Yeah. Well, I've never really had the privilege of becoming a friend, or close to him.
Well, I mean, we're not close either, but the few times that he and I have been around each other, he's real kind.
I just hear that he's just a fantastic person, so maybe one day I can get him in that seat, But it's...
Oh, yeah, he'd do it.
Yeah, of course.
I'm sure.
He's cool,
yeah.
Hey. This guy right here. Anyway... fast forward, so you end up starting, back in the Ridgely days that we were talking earlier, but
which were wonderful, by the way.
Fantastic days.
And I got into music right at the tail end of the Rec Room. I think I played Rec Room like one time before it closed. The Moon Bar was kind of like our hub. That was like the spot. Aardvark was sort of a graduation from the Moon Bar, maybe, but we had some of the best nights of my life. We're in the Moon Bar. Yeah. Thanks to Chris Monder. Yeah. Because Chris, I was playing at a place on Camp Bowie called the Wine Room. It was like upstairs.
I remember.
Load in through an elevator.
Yeah, by La Madeleine.
Yeah. And we would play with the whole band up there. Yeah. And Sammy with an 8-piece drum kit, just going bonkers. And these two girls ended up there one night, the Wolf sisters, Natalie and Camille Wolf. They came up there. They watched us. They loved us. They were like, you got to go play the Moon Bar. You need to meet Chris Monder. And Chris gave me like my first sort of real gig. I
didn't know that.
Between him and Richard and what was the gal that ran Ridgely?
Oh, Wesley? Richard and Wesley?
Yeah, Richard and Wesley. Yeah. Richard and Wesley let me open for Mingo Fish Trap over there one night. And then the Moon Bar, Chris let me play the Moon. And Chris came, watched us, and he just let me just keep playing there until we started building something.
Well, I think, again, going back to what I was saying, whenever we were talking about those Ridgely days, I saw it. Everybody saw it. It was, it was undeniable. And as you moved out of the Ridgely days, you originally did, the first band, was it just Josh Weathers band? And then it moved to True Endeavors.
Yeah, right. That was with the horns.
Right, with the horns. Now, that was a whole nother thing, a whole nother sound. You made how many records with that band?
Well, technically, the True Endeavors thing was just like a one EP. We literally recorded it from start to finish in like 90 minutes. We just played it all the way through.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's super cool. I hope that people have the opportunity to go back and look in your catalog. And
it's buried in there. Yeah, it's in the Spotify thing, but it's buried in there.
Yeah, but it's cool stuff. It'll give people an idea about the influences you talked about earlier, Prince and such. And, I remember turning you on to that music, or trying to turn you on to that music, because it was the other thing that was undeniable was that you had this very natural thing about you that if you just went down that lane, and I knew what I heard was I was like, oh man, he's playing a lot of really produced stuff. Like, I hope that his art he turns it super pure. And I was just thinking to myself, like, we got to get him into rock and roll. This has to be. But in the grand scheme of things, you and I have grown to love a lot of bands. Some of the other influences I know. Real heavy for you, real heavy for me, Billy Gibbons.
Oh, ZZ Top's the greatest.
Yeah. So how has that affected your sound moving through your career?
Well, because it's like the thing about ZZ Top is like they're undeniably Texas.
Yeah.
Nobody sounds like them. Even when people cover their stuff, it's funny when you hear somebody that's not from Texas play a ZZ Top song, you know immediately that they're not from Texas.
Right.
Because there's like a swag in ZZ Top that just nobody has it. Yeah. And my dad was super into ZZ Top. That's why my first cassette tape I ever bought was ZZ Top's Fandango. I was in 3rd grade, and I listened to it every single day, which is crazy that my parents let me listen to Mexican Blackbird and Tush.
Different times, but all of that stuff was just so grooving.
Oh, dude! And my dad, because they were cool. That's when my dad was like, he liked guys that had confidence. My dad is the reason why I really loved R&B and soul music too, because he influenced me a lot. If you were on Dad's 280ZX with T-tops, you were listening to Marvin Gaye, or the Gap Band. Was a huge Gap Band fan.
Sure.
And then my mom was the countryside. So my mom, I grew up basically. We moved around a lot as a kid, but every summer I would spend it with my grandparents just about in Irene, Texas. So we were listening to country radio or whatever Gramps had in the pickup. Most of the time, the only thing I ever remember Gramps having in his pickup that he listened to consistently was the first George Strait record, Straight Country, which is my favorite record. Still to this day, top to bottom. I listened to it yesterday.
Really?
In El Salvador. We're driving through the mountains in El Salvador. I'm listening to the whole George Strait record, the first one, Straight Country. Wow. It's so funky. It's so well done. It's like perfectly produced. The songs, there's like 5 or 6 Dean Dillon songs on there. It's like epic music.
So without going through all the history, because we don't need a complete history lesson, now here you are with this new band. And I say new band, you guys have been together for quite some time. But,
10 years almost.
Yeah. But Paul...
so I basically stole the campaign, the band.
Yeah, the campaign, earlier. The band we mentioned earlier.
Yes.
And then you have some other players with you tonight at Billy Bob's, right?
Yeah, a couple guys. Well, Bubba's been with me now for about a year. Bubba plays steel and guitar.
Bubba
Bellin, yep.
Yeah.
And Bubba's like our crazy little brother.
Yeah,
and,
what a cool guy.
He's a sweetheart, man.
Super sweet,
big teddy
spirited.
bear. Yeah. Teddy bear. He's like a big teddy bear.
One of those.
And then Paul and Blaine, we played as a trio for several years, probably 6 years, just the three of us. Yeah. Dragging around Texas.
I think the thing that's really unique about this version of what you're doing right now is the vocal ability with you guys. There's something that, there's a lot of really great vocal groups out there, Wilder Blue, just a lot of guys that are doing it right. You guys are one of them. This chemistry that you guys have vocally, on top of just having played a million times together and really falling into those pockets, has really changed and really fills the sound out a whole lot.
Blaine and Paul are great singers. And they nail it. They're every
fantastic.
Time.
Yeah. And, the other thing about these guys that's really great that I like about them is they play the part. Yeah. There's never a part of them within the set that allows their ego to go beyond the part.
Yeah.
And I think, for any young bands that might be watching, I think it's really important that everybody realize that that's really where you want to get to. And performing live is a difficult thing, as it is. Complicating it with more on stage and more sound than necessary really kind of mixes. It just makes everything more than necessary.
To Paul and Blaine's credit, they hold me accountable to parts.
Oh yeah,
more than I hold them accountable to stuff.
Of course,
they're very like, that's not how it goes. They'll straight up tell me.
Sure.
Even though I'm like, no, it feels good. No, that's not how it goes.
Yeah, So, part in talking about your show, one of the things that I obviously have to talk to you about and ask you about is it's become tradition now at every one of your shows to do I Will Always Love You. At first, what was an unexpected, really kind of like one of the first experiences of any videos, let alone that I remember going viral. This is like This was the Chive, right? Like way back. Was it the Chive that?
Yeah, I
That
did it.
put that
I did
video
it
out?
one night at the Kessler Theater, and Jeff Lyles, who runs the place, took a video of it that night. That was the one he decided to post, and I don't think it took off like immediately. I don't think that was the case, but it was maybe a year or two later that somebody came across it on YouTube, and then it ended up on the Chive, and then it ended up on Huffington Post, and then it ended
Oh,
up,
wow.
here and there, and it was like it kind of grew and got 1 million views in a week or something like that, which was at the time, I mean, it was wow, it was baffling.
Yeah, it was
It was
baffling.
not like a thing that 1 million is like what, and so yeah, I mean, I have it. It's still the thing that tracks. I mean, because it went viral a second time on Facebook, and
Really?
yeah, because somebody ripped the video and they put it on like this reggae Facebook page and put their watermark on it so that it never counted towards the actual YouTube plays, which kind of sucks. But it got like 27 million views on Facebook.
Oh man.
It went from, I would put it this way, I think I had 8,000 followers on Facebook. That thing went viral, and I went to like 75,000 in a week.
Oh geez. And you went. I mean, pretty heavy with TikTok. You know, I know you had procrastinated or put off doing that, and then you started.
That would fast forward us to the now season of life. We're talking about like this is 15 years ago.
True that.
And so that's like, I've definitely been able to. That has opened a lot of doors. That video opened a lot of doors, changed a lot of things, brought people to shows. Gave me an opportunity to play in front of people on a regular basis. And introduced people to my original material,
Right. Do you find that there's a disconnect from that time, because it was quite some time ago?
Yeah.
I go, hey, it seems like not long ago, but 15 years. Is there a disconnect in your fan base between those that understand that that's a tradition for you and that that's what you're going to play versus the folks that are part of your career right now in this season who may have been introduced to you through TikTok?
Well, the thing is the most viewed thing. I reposted that video. I just screen grabbed it and reposted on Instagram. It was the most viewed thing I posted on Instagram. I screen grabbed it, and Katie posted it on TikTok. It was the most viewed thing that got people saw on TikTok. And I understand like the aesthetic of it is a guy singing a Whitney Houston song with the modulation and in the same key and all that kind of stuff. So there's a reason for it. I mean, it's it was a great performance that night. That not all nights have sounded like that. So thankfully, that was the one that got captured.
You've always had well, let me ask you this way. Singing the way that you do, singing the way that so naturally and effortlessly, we talk about other great vocalists like Jay Buchanan and all these other guys that are out there that we know
Jay's
and love.
the best.
He is fantastic. But when did you know you had that superpower? How old were you? When did you start singing and then go, wait, this isn't just a hum, or this isn't just a little ditty. I can do this.
In 7th grade, I was going to school at Creekwood Middle School in Kingwood, Texas. It was down by Houston. And choir, 6th grade. Choir was required. Everyone had to do choir, one semester of choir. And so my teacher, Miss Fort was her name, she called each person down to the piano, like one at a time, and would play scales, da 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 da, and like you had to kind of sing along with the scale. And so she played from one end of the piano to the other, and I would just sing along with the piano. And she just looked at me. She goes, "You can sing." And I was like, "Okay." And she said, "I want you to sing the solo in this fall performance or whatever." So okay. So I sang "I Believe I Can Fly."
How is there video?
My mom, it's somewhere. There's VHS.
Miss
of
Weathers,
it.
come on,
well,
Sean,
the
help me
funny
out.
thing is I screwed it up. Because I would sing. I split the verses with a girl. I would come down from the rafter thingy. Come down, sing. I used to think that I could not go on, right? And then, and life was something but a simple song, something like that. And then a girl would sing the next part. And then the second time, the girl would sing the first part of the verse, and I would sing the second part of the verse. Well, the second girl sang the wrong thing. So I, in turn, sang the wrong thing. And you watched me on camera just go, and walk back up all mad. So that was my first experience. And then the second time, just because I loved it so much, like I loved it never bothered me. I was not nervous. It didn't bother me at all. The performing part of it was very natural, felt like I was supposed to do it. And I did the talent show with a couple of buddies of mine that were in choir also in 7th grade the next year. And we sang Life's a Dance by John Michael Montgomery and won the talent show. And then I didn't sing again until I met you.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing it again until then. So that's
Wow.
you know, that was a 6-7 year difference. I was like 13, and then didn't do it again until I was a freshman in college.
So to go back to the TikTok thing real quick. So it was crazy because, again, you had taken a little time. I don't want to, maybe I shouldn't say procrastinated, but you just kind of put that off in a way that you didn't see the importance. And then all of a sudden you had this either epiphany or somebody convinced you or something happened. And maybe it was Katie. Was it Katie that did it? And wow, what a great
so
move was
I'll
it
just
listening
explain
to her?
how this all happened. To be a music, to have a career in music today, you can't just play music. You have to be like a content creator also. It's just part of it. And it's kind of a tail whipping for some people. And I drug my feet on it for a long time. And I just decided one day I saw some people with a setup not much different than this, a microphone straight into a phone. I saw this girl, I think her name is Liz Rose. Liz Rose Sings was her handle on Instagram. And she walked through the setup that she used for making her videos. And she had like 200,000 followers on Instagram. And she walked through the setup, and I was like, I literally have all those things.
Wow.
I have all those things. All I need is a cable to run from my little 4-channel mixer into my phone, and I can make videos just like this. So I was going to do a live stream for New Year's Eve, and I was going to do it like that. And so I made some test videos, and I posted a couple of test videos, and they didn't really do it. 10,000 views was like I was doing well with a video that would get 10,000 views. And then December 23rd, I posted a video of me singing a Merle Haggard song. I literally just walked in, plugged in all the stuff, set the EQs in like 2 seconds, never even checked the EQs. It's literally a condenser mic running into a Yamaha 4-channel mixer that has a USB 2.0 out, and a cable I bought off of Amazon that goes from the out straight into my phone. Open up the camera app, set it where you want it, hit record, and it's recording the audio from the microphone. That's what I did. And I sat down and I played Silver Wings by Merle Haggard. Silver Wings. I didn't even learn the song, which was silly because I play the wrong chords in the video. And I posted it, and it started to get traction. And the interesting thing is my wife has been encouraging me for years, man, years. Katie's like, you need to make a country record. That's what you sing the most, and that is true. The most natural singing voice I have is singing country. Yes, it's the easiest thing for me to sing, and she's been telling me for years. She's like, you have this country voice. I don't know why you're not making country records. Everyone has told me that for years, and I put it off because I want to do the Heartland rocker, like Americana thing, Mellencamp, big anthem songs, and put it off. I did that song, and it started to get traction. And I could get super spiritual on you. I could tell you exactly the day that I knew something was about to happen. But January 7th, I'll tell you, January 7th, I'm sitting at my church in a missionary banquet during a worship time, right? Somebody else is playing on stage. And I had this just epiphany. I had this moment, like a vision. And I felt God tell me, I'm opening every door. Just like that. I'm opening every door. As simple as that. And we could go into that whole background of that, and I'm sure people listening to this or watching this think I got a piece of tinfoil in my head. It's totally fine.
Right.
But I do believe in a God who speaks, because praying is almost senseless without having someone. We would not be having a conversation now if I had talked to you and you didn't talk to me. It'd be awkward. Okay? So, and that whole season of my life, that's been 12 years in the making of me coming to faith and like following Jesus and building a nonprofit. There's a whole nother, we might need a 2-part episode because we're going to talk about any of that. But I felt that, and what I saw when I heard that was me standing on stage in front of an arena, like people all the way around, lights all the way around like that. I'm opening every door. And then that Merle Haggard video went, bam. I'm talking like overnight, blew up. And then everything I posted on Instagram after that blew up. 50,000 views, 60,000 views, 100,000 views. And then Katie says, I'm going to start you a TikTok. And I'm like, look, babe, I'm 40. I don't twerk. What do I need a TikTok for? And she's like, just send me the videos. I'll run the TikTok. Okay. So I sent her the videos that I was recording, and she posted them on TikTok. And within 90 days, we had 100,000 followers on TikTok.
Isn't that crazy?
And then all the doors flung wide open. And then I started getting phone calls from Nashville, people from record labels, people from publishing companies, management people reaching out. Who are you? What's this stuff you're doing? Because what I stayed consistent with, I did the same setup every day. I did it every single day. And that's what I would encourage people. If you're going to do something on social media, now I have since slacked off on doing it every day or something, posting something every day because we're so stinking busy. And, you know, I'm just not home right now as much as I was. But I literally made a video every single day, and I would just pick an 80s, 90s country song. I stayed with the theme that was working, and it helped. It helped sort of, like extradite the process of me creating country music, writing country music. And I mean, it blew up. I don't even know how many. You'd have to tell me. I don't keep up with TikTok. It's 170,000 people maybe.
That's crazy.
Following on TikTok, and Instagram went up to over 100,000 from 12,000. Started 12,000. Now it's up to probably 104,000, something like that. And
it's almost funny because it makes you wonder if musicians in the new generation, people that, let's say, that have really started to attempt playing professionally in the last 5 or 10 years, let's just say, they have all of these tools that we really didn't have in the beginning. And it makes you wonder if they'll ever experience that real, like, road dog thing, you know?
I'm grateful that I know what it feels like to play to nobody but a bartender.
Yeah.
Because when I walk out here and there's going to be, how many people sit on the floor?
1,800.
There'll be 1,800 people sitting on the floor staring at me when I walk out there tonight. The feeling of gratitude that I have for those 1,800 people that bought tickets to sit in the front. And there's people that'll be in the GA areas too. There'll be a few thousand people in here tonight. That feeling, it took a lot of time. It took a lot of work to get to that place where you're, you know, there's thousands of people that are willing to pay to come see you. And I know how it feels to play for nobody but, you know,
Well, TikTok
Cody Jinks at when he was bartending at the White Elephant, you know, like that. Know how that feels to be on a Sunday and there's nobody in there but you and the bartender, and a few stragglers come in, and you try to entertain those people. And I'm really grateful because, you know, I had to learn how to entertain people, and being in cover bands and things like that. I mean, man, learning cover songs, dude, it's the best school of writing songs you could ever go to.
Oh, absolutely.
You got to learn how to put those chords together. You got to learn, you know, learn what makes a song move in a direction and all that kind of stuff. And so, I mean, kids ask me today, obviously the tools have changed from when you and I were doing it. I watch videos. Blaine sent me a video of us playing the Moon Bar or something like that, you know, almost 20 years ago, and it's packed to the gills, man. And I'm just thinking, like, how did we tell all those people we were playing there? Because MySpace was in its baby stages.
Sure, and that's what I was going back to.
I'm like, how did we
didn't have those tools?
Did we like just hand out
email
flyers?
addresses, flyers. I think that was the deal. I mean, I remember in the old days going up and down Barry, and flyers were still a thing.
Yeah,
multiple staples, thousands of staples on a post was
telephone
very
poles,
common.
yeah.
And
A telephone pole?
a telephone pole. How about that? It's kind of funny. We are getting old, by the way.
But I do. There's a whole new generation, man, that they're doing it. They're doing it their own way. I'm interested to see how it cycles, because there's ebbs and flows in music for everyone. There was genuinely a time, maybe in the early 90s, before George Strait put out Pure Country, that there was a question of, is George still the guy? Because Garth is just smoking, you know?
Sure.
And so, there's these ebbs and flows in music. And so these guys that are on top of the world that maybe hadn't had to do those nobody gigs, what's going to happen when the show's not sold out?
Right.
What's going to happen there? What's going to happen when music changes, when your fans get older and their tastes change and they're interested in something else? Because one thing I do know, and I have always kept in mind, is there's always somebody better. Mm-hmm. There's always somebody can sing better than me, entertain better, perform better. There's always going to be somebody that's better.
And social media has allowed literally everyone a platform to put their talent out there. Whereas before, rewind back to the old days, that wasn't really a thing either. You had to get out there and do the work, and you had to get out there and play.
Well, yeah, and there were gatekeepers that would tell you. There were guys that owned clubs who were like, get out of here.
Yeah. So now we have all of these, in many respects, incredibly talented people that are getting the attention that they do deserve. But there is that part of their career that is lacking. Now, not everybody. I mean, there's still people out there doing it. Most of them really, are doing it well. Bands like, Red Clay Strays, those guys. I remember them playing Magnolia Motor Lounge, and just road dogging it through. But there is this new generation of people that are experiencing it and getting it so much easier and so much quicker. It almost feels like they're being robbed of the experience of playing for that one person, because it really makes the big shows, like you said, the sense of gratitude comes through when you have that history. And I'm not saying that all those folks don't, but you get where I'm coming from. There's,
we'll see how it shakes out, but I know that I'm more power to them. I'm trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Give me some of that. Give me some of that TikTok love.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Give me some of that.
Great.
Give me some of that viral TikTok love.
It's kind of, I guess it's kind of proverbial kids these days kind of conversation, but
We sound like old farts.
We are, by the way. Don't think about
Speak
that.
for yourself.
Yeah, whatever. So today, Billy Bob's got a show tonight. What's going to be different about the show tonight? I know you've made some changes a little bit on stage.
I'm playing a bunch of new songs.
Yeah.
Bunch of new songs. I've been writing a lot. Those were some of the doors that opened this past year. I did sign a publishing deal with a company called Seagale Music, which is which is a total full circle crazy thing. Signing a publishing company with Chris Dubois owns the company. Chris's dad Tim was courting me 12 years ago to sign me to management and help me, and Tim is responsible for Brooks and Dunn, Alan Jackson, Diamond Rio, Pam Tillis.
Gallagher was telling me they've been wanting him for so long.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, because they were around, and then now come and Tim 12 years ago was telling me I got to get you up there and write with my son. I got to get you up there and write with my son. He's killing it right now, doing a great job, and Tim was so kind to me, and when I told him, because it was a God's timing thing, I told him I couldn't do it. He was really gracious and didn't shame me for saying no to him. And then you fast forward 12 years later, I'm sitting in a room across from Chris Dubois, just talking about what I want to do with my music, and let's write one. And we wrote a song that day, and it's probably one of the best songs I've ever written in my entire life. It is, without a doubt. Wow. And he, they offered me a publishing deal, that's where Chris Stapleton was. So when Tim was wanting me to work with him, Stapleton was writing there at Seagale at the time. So there's 10 years of Chris Stapleton catalog there at Seagale, and I've cut a couple of those songs, and so we're gonna play a couple of them tonight. And
Wow.
yeah, and I've gotten to write with heroes, dude, just like crazy stuff. This last year, I got to spend a day with Steve Wariner, who's one of my absolute heroes, and go out to his house in Nashville and spend a day, write a song with him, and just rap about music. Bro, I'm going to show you the Steve Wariner song that you've never heard. I'm sure you've never heard it. It's kind of a deep cut 90s Steve Wariner. So funky.
Really?
Yeah, he showed it to me. He was like, you got to hear this song. He's like, you got to show your bass player this song. Y'all need to cover this. Yeah.
He
And
seemed very cool.
Bro,
I saw
he
when
is
you
one
sent
of
me
the-
those videos, and I was just like, man.
He's one of the most genuine, kind, humble. I mean, greatest experience that day. It was one of the best experiences. And there's, I mean, I wrote with Bobby Pinson, David Lee Murphy a few weeks ago. Wow. You know, got to, Bobby's a beast, man. Bobby's written some bangers of songs. I wrote with Bobby and Mark Irwin. Mark Irwin wrote "Here in the Real World." Yeah. You know, and that came from Instagram, dude. That came from me singing Here in the Real World on Instagram. And one of my buddies, Cam, that I write with up there, Cam Newby, shout out, Cam. Cam writes with Mark. He sends that to Mark. He's like, I want to write with that guy. And then we wrote a song. We wrote a song, me, him, and Bobby, called Honky Tonk Time. We're going to play it tonight. It's straight up Fort Worth honky tonk. I mean, I could name a list, man, of people I've gotten to spend time with this year that I sat in the room and I just be like, what in the world am I doing here? Look, check this out. When I was 19 years old, I'd written 3 songs. And a lot of things happened when I was 19. Between 19 and 21, a lot of marking moments in my life. But somewhere in that realm, in 19 to 20, I drive up to Nashville, Tennessee with my uncle. And like, my boss at the time, I was working at a vet clinic, part-time at a vet clinic.
I remember.
Yeah. And my boss at the time, Dr. Cannon, his daughter, Sarah, went to college with a gal named Chris at Vanderbilt. He said, if you're going to do this music thing, you're going to have to go up there and talk to her. It's okay. So he sets me up a meeting with his daughter's friend from college named Chris Lacey, who was working at a company called Warner Chappell Publishing Company, Warner Brothers publishing side. Mm-hmm. I drive up there with my uncle. I meet Chris. I play her my 3 songs. She was so sweet, so kind to me. And, you know, she sent me home with like a pat on the back, but she took me around and took me to a Greek restaurant. I never eat no Greek food, you know. I'm a knucklehead kid who played rodeoed all through high school. She took me up there and we ate Greek food, and she's like, that's Tim McGraw's manager over there. And that's, you know, sitting at this restaurant. I'm like baffled by everything I'm seeing in town, and takes me over to the ASCAP building and introduces me some people. And she's just really, really sweet, really kind. And she's like, you just keep doing it. You know, you keep doing it. You got something there. Just keep writing songs. And okay, yes, ma'am. Go back home. You fast forward now, 20 some odd years later. You know, I met with Chris a month ago. She came out to a show in Nashville, came and saw us. And it was just wild, dude. It's like, she's the head of Warner Brothers now. I mean, she's the head honcho.
Wow.
And you know, went up and sat in her office and talked to her. Now, whether that's something going to happen there, I have no idea. So I'm not insinuating that. I'm just saying that, like, the full circle moments, the things that I feel like it's really been a God thing to just take me all these places and just be like, man, I had my hand on this the whole time.
It's funny, man, because watching it all, you have come full circle. I can't help but wish good things for you, obviously, not because we're just brothers and friends, but I mean, you've got so much ahead of you and so much more to explore musically and to really share with the world. I do want to talk to you again. I do want to talk to you about a lot of the charity work you do. I do want to talk to you about some of those pivotal moments, but we'll save that for a future conversation. For today, let's play a little music.
Yeah.
was like 20 years in the making again. But, you know.